If you're watching this, I'm sure you've already seen these two videos. Same deal, but instead of touching water and grass, we're gonna see how fast we can touch fire in every LEGO game. For this challenge, I'm counting both fire and lava, as a handful of games only have one or the other in the early game. Chronological order is boring, and boring makes the good number go down. So this video is going to be formatted a little bit differently. We're going to instead go from fastest time to longest time. Before the video starts, let me know if you think this will be easier or harder than touching grass and water, and no cheating. The answer honestly surprised me. Without further ado, let's speedrun the speedrun and see just how fast we can touch fire in every LEGO game. Believe it or not, our fastest game is Pirates, with there being a torch on the back wall you can reach in just 4 seconds. Harry Potter 1 through 4 is the exact same, just with a 2-second longer walk. LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 takes half a minute longer, but is still doable inside Room 1 without much trouble. We finally get to use a couple of neat tricks inside of LEGO Batman 3, like this jump around the invisible wall to skip the vacuum puzzle, and a very tactical and not at all accidental fall into the water right here, which leads us directly into this blaze. All Batman 1 takes is a quit to hub and an elevator trip up to the suit room, and LCU is more load screen than game, with it taking a full minute just to blast player 2 with the car's turbo. I spent way too long in LEGO Movie 2 trying to get out of bounds early that I failed to notice the fire literally directly behind from where you spawn in, making 90% of this game an unskippable cutscene. So far, every first room of a level has fire, which is more than I could say for grass or water. This trend continues on into the Skywalker saga, where you can find fire coming out of the ship's walls if you play episode 4 first. In fact, the first game where we progress past a single room is The Hobbit, coming in at 1.5 minutes by hitting this torch in the start of room 2. This is where things finally start to become more interesting. To avoid the entire first half of this video being room 1 touch fire, we're gonna take a slightly slower route in LEGO Indiana Jones 2 to touch lava. Right after spawning into the Crystal Skull Part 1, we can launch Mac super high into the air by throwing him against a key turner with the V-Sync option turned off. Our goal is to land right next to the entrance for level 2, where we can enter and then immediately exit to warp Indy to our location. After another short walk, we can clip player 2 into the entrance of one of the movie's bonus levels and jump right into the lava. This is called a respawn clip and is done by pausing the game after respawning, which lets you walk through certain walls for whatever reason. We get to use another version of a V-Sync launch in The Force Awakens by rolling against a rock and toggling our V-Sync to off, which gives us a huge burst in frames and height. We can use this height to just barely miss where we need to go, doing a second version of the launch here, and finally touching the torch. LEGO Avengers is a much simpler route, playing the level completely normally until you reach the section with Thor and Captain America. And all Lord of the Rings takes is a few swings of Sauron's mace to light our party on fire. The Incredibles, outside of a simple wall clip tech done by dropping out while holding another player, should be extremely easy. But one thing I didn't account for when making this video is human fallacy. In short, I'm fucking stupid. I need to reach these flames up here, and I have a character who can freeze water to do that. So what do I do instead? I play the entire room out as normal and try to parkour my way up there. There is no reason this should have taken this long. Let's take a break from my stupidity to run through LEGO Star Wars 1, where an uneventful negotiations leads us into Episode 3's opening, where we can pilot a ship directly into an open flame. I promise you, this is actually very, very safe. Try it with your parent Subaru. Harry Potter 5 through 7 is probably the easiest out of all of these games, as you can literally set your controller down for a quarter of the run, only picking it back up to rescue Mad Eye and waiting patiently for an NPC to come through a fireplace and bathe you in green flames. DC Supervillains is the exact same, just a casual level 1 playthrough until you reach the underground lava room. But at least you can make a sick-ass firefighter in the meantime. I am also very good and creative when it comes to making names. This is the first time in this series of videos where we can't cheat the complete saga by using the 2-player arcade. Mustafar is locked from the get-go, meaning we need to play through negotiations at the very least. After getting absolutely destroyed by one of these drones, we were able to do so, making another beeline straight for episode 6. Here we destroy the camera droids and touch the fire on the wall. Honestly, a nice change of pace from the other 2 videos. This also happens to be the first time we get to move past level 1 in Indiana Jones 2. Is showing off all the cool tech, like this drop and warp, this invisible pixel jump, and this other drop and warp. Drop and warps, if you aren't familiar, trick the game into dropping in player 2 somewhere they aren't supposed to be. It's usually done by altering the angle of the camera. Anyways, after we enter level 2, we can jump straight into Marion's fireplace in under 9 minutes. Circling back around to LEGO Star Wars for a brief moment, we can take out the trifecta by tackling LEGO Star Wars 2. The route is basically the exact same as the complete saga, but instead of negotiations, we play through secret plans. The level is very 1P2C heavy, but none of the tricks are super hard. The only non-casual thing we do is pick up C-3PO with the claw mid-death to skip the claw room puzzle. From there, we can head straight back to Jabba's palace and touch the torch. And now we're moving on from the 10-minute mark to an 11.5-minute LEGO Movie 1. Because you have to play through the prologue, an open world segment, a full level, a dance party, and even a wrecking ball minigame, time adds up fast. After that extremely uneventful 11 minutes, this tube into the ground opens up and we can clip some fire on our way down. Ninjago is only 3 seconds behind LEGO Movie 1, but it follows a similar pattern. We can use a lot of 1P2C in the dojo to take down the dummies and chicken faster, but once we enter the real level 1, we have to play through what is essentially an auto-scroller before we're able to fully take control and touch fire inside of this building. I've made my opinion on LEGO Star Wars 3 very clear over the years, but when it comes to the game's speedrun, it's really quite fun. We begin as all runs do in the Battle of Geonosis, but afterwards, we progress into the Grievous storyline, using a lot of simple 1P2C to place an absurd amount of bombs inside the droid ship before rebuilding R2 and fighting Grievous. Surprisingly, despite there being multiple explosions, the first place we see fire is in the final room of this level, where we can reconstruct a starfighter and stand directly inside of the exhaust. There isn't a whole lot to this one, it's just a lot of 1P2C. LEGO Batman 2, on the other hand, has a whole lot to do, and a majority of it is very frustrating. Like before, we're able to pause fly across this ledge to save a minor amount of time, and also trick the camera into not seeing player 2 by blocking them with player 1. But it's room 3 where the cracks start to form. We need to skip the two-face fight, and that can be done by using a V-Sync launch to land at least one player on top of this chandelier, which skips over the trigger for the fight. Once Batman is up there and he lines himself up with the door, we can use some 1P2C to get Robin to hit the fight's trigger, and at the same time get prepared to jump into the door as Batman before it closes. Again, while this took a long time, we eventually got it and took down the Joker pretty quickly. Unfortunately, level 2 posed even more issues. This was another V-Sync launch heavy level, and on my 3rd try, I managed to hit the first Robin launch, which allowed me to lower the ladder and drop down one of the helicopter parts. Now it was time for the hard part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 launches failed. I knew something was going wrong, so on the fly, I had to invent a new launch using this ladder. After failing that another heartbreaking amount of times, including this one where my pause fly just kept dropping, we finally finished the helicopter, took down the Joker again, and could stand on this tiny, small LEGO fire in this box. You might say, oh, BD1P, that fire doesn't count, it's clearly just decoration, but shut up. You don't count, you're decoration. This leaves us with one final game to tackle, one that ended up being a secret favorite of mine, despite me hating it in the past. LEGO Dinosaur Game. This is yet another launch-heavy game, but it has enough 1P2C and cool out-of-bounds movement sprinkled in that I had a really fun time playing through it. Granted, I did have to stop the run at multiple points and rewatch what I was supposed to do, but we're not going to talk about that. I also learned from my mistakes last time, which we are also not going to talk about. We can 1P2C room 1 with ease, bash Ellie Sattler's head into the sand until she launches 6 miles into the air, enter her trailer, and make it further than ever before. After repairing the broken gates and rebinding my controls, which reset for some reason, we can murder a cow, do a V-Sync launch off a tree, do another tree sync launch, and this time land perfectly out of bounds where we can walk into the level's ending door. This was all first try, don't look at that B-roll footage. Now things start to get super dicey, as we have to do what is, in my opinion, the hardest launch in the whole challenge. We need to launch at near perfect height to get over this door. Going too high makes you fall too fast, and going too low, well, that should be self-explanatory. Because it's such a precise height to hit, instead of V-Sync launching, we're going to instead pause the game for a smaller boost in frames. Once we're in, we have to rescue some dumbass kids and reach our final room of the challenge. All we need to do is use this plant to launch both characters up. It's one of the only ways to launch in the room, so if it breaks, one quick backup later and we can cut the tree down and touch the first fire of Dino game, the flare. This is the only fire for the first half an hour of the game, it counts, okay? I don't want to hear anything about it. And that is how fast you can touch fire in every LEGO video game. If you want to see more challenges, leave your ideas down below. And if I have to read one more comment about how I forgot LEGO Dimensions, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind.